Meet and discuss. Film Explorer meets international film critics every day during the Locarno Film Festival 2023 on the Piazza Grande. Today, Giuseppe Di Salvatore from Film Explorer discusses with Yun-hua Chen, a film critic from Taiwan and Berlin. She writes for Film International in English and for Cinephilia in Chinese.
So you start to discover some films in Locarno. I will ask you directly something that struck you or that impressed you specifically, or some aspect of films that interest you in particular.
I'm very impressed with the use of sound in cinema this year. Two films in particular. One is called On the Go. The other one is called Whisper of Fire and Water. Both use soundscapes in their unique ways, and because I watched them back to back, and I was really happy that there was the opportunity of watching them in cinema with proper stereo system instead of, it's really the kind of film that you want to watch with a group of people in cinema, and that's also the essence of the film festival.
And what specifically you like in these films in terms of sound, or what was it was a sort of also grammar or something that was part of the language of the film that was important to receive? How was exactly this the experience you did?
It was a kind of cinema that has soundscape that was integrated into the film and the narrative. On the Go is a road movie. There's a lot of music element inside, Spanish music, something they call also kinkidelia, I think. Also with conversations, even sounds of ringtones, there's this breaking between the diegetic world and extra-diegetic world in the sense that when a sound comes just from the stereo at the back on the right-hand side, audience by default thought that it was a sound coming from an audience like a mobile phone. And then when you realize it was actually part of the film, that makes the cinematic experience even more immersive.
Okay, so it really sound when it plays really also with the space of cinema, of movie theater. You think it's something that is, that makes some sense for specific narratives, or is something interesting to explore in cinema in general?
Yeah, I definitely think that it adds an extra dimension to the film itself, because film being audio-visual medium, many times we thought sound was coming naturally and unnoticeable. But actually when sound becomes an element that is also prominent in its own, then it creates this extra space of us being immersed in sound in addition to being part of the visual world.
It is something that probably hint to the idea of cinema expanded, or the idea that the movie theater, that you perceive also the movie theater as a space, and this sense that the immersive aspect is not just being into the screen and being into the story, but being there. I mean, just telling this because one of the main guests of the festival, because he got the Pardo for the career, is Tsai-Ming Liang. And Tsai-Ming Liang is also Taiwanese like you, but independently of this, is someone that work a lot also between the movie theater as a space, and also interrogate and question this space, but at the same time works also in art space and try also to put these two spaces in dialogue. So it's something that also, because of Tsai-Ming Liang, interests you or not?
It's interesting that you brought up Tsai-Ming Liang. I think what is in common between what Tsai-Ming Liang does in terms of installation and this crossover of art forms and the soundscape that I found important in cinema is also the shared experience. Both installations in cinema are the way they are because it's shared, and by soundscaping in cinema, in a way you are in the space with the audiences together, and you have the impression that you are not alone through sound, and the sound reminds you that you are in a room together. And what Tsai-Ming Liang does really cleverly this time in the installation this year in Locarno is the way that he uses the space by transforming the film into something that is it's almost like time traveling, space traveling. It transforms you to somewhere else through the images projecting in this, I don't even know how to describe the space. It was this exclusive growth, cave-like, but at the same time it's the mixture between civilization and something earlier than humanity, and also it's a mixture between light and darkness.
Um, yeah, do you think also that the relationship between music and sound and soundscape in general, so music as part of it or music as a sort of, in some films, it's also a sort of protagonist or a sort of something that pop up as a specific, like an actor, something that you see and not something that just goes in yourself, like in a subconscious way. So the importance of music as explicitly displayed is something that's important for you. Or we have some example also here in Locarno for this.
Yes, definitely. Like what we were talking about on the go, Kinkidelia. Actually, I think music brings out so much more contextual information that we often take for granted. And on Stepna, for example, it was about this Ukrainian village, and when the women started singing their songs, their folklores, that is actually how you are brought into the space. And the same way as Cai Mingliang in this installation that he does in Locarno, it was a short film about the February 28th incident, and then he uses the music, the song of that time, that brings people immediately back to the time. So sound, in a way, it gives you not just the sense of space, but it's also a sense of time.
Exactly, the question of time is probably another topic that's quite interesting in general, but also specifically in this this edition of Locarno Film Festival, because we have at least 3 films that are very long, and of course the thread of time is clearly there. Also, just thinking about again Tsai Ming-liang films, because the experience of time is there completely central. These 3 films, one is Radu Jude, Do Not Expect Too Much from the End of the World. There is last film of Lav Diaz, Essential Truths of the Lake, and the film of Saint-Georges, Nuit Obscure, that actually is a continuation of a 5 hours film that was also screened in Locarno last year. So, did you see this film? And yeah, how is your appreciation of the film? Also, this film, as a film critic visiting a festival, so also the organization of seeing or watching to this film in a festival, what does it mean for you, or is something that is a problem? I don't know.
Pragmatically, these 3 films, of course, they occupy huge chunks of the festival schedule. And I like them all, actually. I am a big fan of Lav Diaz, and I think in this film it's even more narrative driven, and these 3 hours didn't feel like 3 hours at all. And plus, he was actually developing the character throughout the previous films too. So there's a continuity in this way, and the sense of time was interesting if we look at these 3 films together. Also, because if you watch Saint-Georges' Nuit Obscure, they are episodic. So they're actually a compilation of short films. We can also look at this way. So in a way, you are experience time together with this group of kids, but you are also experience them in fragments, and that is a difference between us and them in a way as well, because when they are actually living in it, we are actually coming in and out all the time. And I find it quite an impressive experience, also because a compilation piles up into 3 hours long. So although you're coming into fragments, actually accumulate into this ensemble of transient experiences with them. In the way of Radu Jude, I think it was so cleverly made that you would be like solving a puzzle with a film, and duration was so important. I don't want to spoil it, but the ending was so amazing and brilliant moments just because of the time it takes, the waiting of it with the characters. And that was exactly the point of the film as well, in terms of labor, work conditions, the exploitative system that we live in.
And And what I would like to say about mainly Lavdia's and Radu Jude film, there's something similar from this point of view about the question of time, because both our experience and time experience as a viewer in a movie theater, but at the same time they also speak about time, they also play with time, because both of them, for example, for Lavdia's film, there are a puzzling construction of different time layers in the story, I mean, in the narrative of the films. And then at the end, there is a linear moment, or a linear part of the film becomes very linear. And a bit the same by Radu Jude, it's probably by chance. Also, he works with an old film, a film from the 80s, and form of doing films like Instagram or TikTok videos that are more referring explicitly to our contemporaneity, and this play that is also in the editing very, very constructed, but at the end also there is this last part that is just linear, just something like a little story in the end. So I don't know if it's also something inspiring for you, this construction of time, this playing time also in the film, in the narratives.
Definitely, Radu Jude is very clever in terms of playing with time. As you were saying, the beginning part, also because it was two parallel stories, and then he used a lot of jump cuts. So before you actually realize what happens in one line, it goes to the other one. And there is no clear indication of how many days, hours have passed. And that was in stark contrast to what happened afterwards, when it was linear and it was in the duration and it was real time. And that stretch of time when you were, in the beginning, you were losing patience a bit. I think he intentionally made you lose patience because you were trying to figure out what we were watching and how these fragments of two parallels are coming together, till the end when you're losing patience because you feel like time flows so much and you were waiting for a cut that never comes.
So we spoke about space and time, I mean the basic things of what's very broad, but at the same time, I mean, what is something nice also in the festival, the fact that you can experience a journey that are very special and that brings this kind of question. I don't know if you have some other special, I think a festival is also interesting place because of uncomfortable experience, because sometimes we learn from them something, just as a discovery, but also, it's occasion to discuss and to think about this and to discover things. I don't know if you have an example of something that was probably uncomfortable at the same time interesting to reflect upon.
Uncomfortable experience, I don't have a concrete example now, but I recall having experienced uncomfortable experiences in film festival when the film, you expect the film going somewhere and it doesn't go, and I'm not going to name the name of the film, but there was one film that frustrated me quite a bit because it was a very good idea and you expected to lead you and go beyond the original idea, and it just never did till the end. And that would be very frustrating because we all come to film festivals wanting to be inspired and watch good films.
At the same time, it could be also a strategy of openness in order to push the viewer to fill the gap in a sense and to continue herself or himself with interpretation of the film. I don't know. I like personally open films, but
I like open films as well, but I also feel that films, for the sake of making it, sometimes you can sense it. I like films with a real drive of storytelling, a real drive of expressing visually, audially, rather than sometimes it feels like it was made for the sake of it, and there was no drive, no sparkles for the filmmakers. But on that note, I would also like to say that all kinds of films, because they coexist, that's why we enjoy them all. We cannot expect all the films to be good. It's exactly the same as in life.
thank you very much, Yun-hua. You'll continue, several days now in the festival to other discoveries, and hope to have you back on Film Explorer.
Thank you very much, and wish a good journey to you too.
You heard Giuseppe Di Salvatore from Film Explorer, Yun-hua Chen, film critic for Film International and Cinephilia, a production by Film Explorer.